It was all about, let's get some data, let's get the data collected. But then we had so much data, we were kind of like analysis paralysis, right? And so we didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't aligned. We didn't have governance around it. And so I started asking the question over a year ago, like, so what, right? So you've got this data, what business decision are you going to drive? And so we've been very fortunate to work with our IT organization. We have a very robust data lake and data mart architecture in which, so Eldar's team actually reaches in directly to our data mart and he gets real-time data. I don't have to feed it to him. I don't have to do anything. He writes his API and he pulls what he wants. We then take that data and push it into our data lake, which then our data analytics team, writes reports and stuff like that. It's about getting the right data points, not about having volume. And that's really where we're starting to push more and more as we go. Probably like many of you, we were, Wild Wild West, and we would do whatever we thought was the right thing to do for the real estate organization, IT, to thumb your nose up at them, and you don't really need them, right? They weren't a true strategic partner. So about 3 years ago, we basically said, we've got to change this. And so working very closely with our IT team, it's a very close-knit team between the real estate organization and IT. We now have a dedicated team that is actually supporting us from the engineering perspective. They get to see the bigger picture. As the IT architecture, we're a heavy part of influencing that. But they're there to also support us. And so when we will have a conversation with Eldar and his team, it's not just us as the business, but it's also IT there. And so that's been very, very helpful.
I can add a couple of different viewpoints. I was at BMC Software from 2011 till 2017. Back in the early days, we were looking at badge swipes and the data wasn't great because there was different access control systems in different countries. There was tailgating. The business leads didn't really believe in the data. So long story short, I worked with internal IT. We started looking at IP box, the MAC addresses off of laptops and digital devices. And we built something by anonymizing the data, working with works councils in Europe and then other leaders that they believed in. And it became kind of a single source of truth. And it was something that helped us to design our spaces so that we tried to reduce the empty office syndrome, where you'd build these offices that were really big because local leadership demanded it, and then nobody came. So it was less is more. We did less square feet or meters, but we spent more per square foot or meter, and it was very successful. But the key thing there is that the IT team internally worked with me, and they were supportive. Now, having worked in other organizations, I can appreciate that not everyone has that luxury because IT teams can also be quite sparse and have other priorities and don't have the resources to work with you. So when I was at Cognizant, that was the case. I started there, and there's huge opportunities. They've got 350,000 employees and the same problems that other organizations have. And that was at that time that I've started working with Basking. This is coming back at 2018, where they're able to help with that. You have to build up a certain level of trust because you have to go through security reviews and make sure that their SOC strategy and InfoSec strategy matches that. But once you get through that, having a partner that you can work with can really help if you don't have that internal IT organization. So it really depends on the company that you're working for.